Welcome to Fearless and Unfiltered. Real talk, real challenges, and real wisdom from two badass BFFs that aren't afraid to say it like it is.
We're here to share stories that inspire, lessons that empower, and a whole lot of laughs along the way.
Get ready to get fearless.
Get unfiltered.
And get real with Carrie and Vicki. All right, welcome back into the Fearless and Unfiltered podcast with Carrie and Vicki. We are back in action and ready to dive into a really great subject that I think you all can relate to, and that is being your own worst critic. So get out of your head and get into the present.
Oh my gosh, in today's episode, we're calling out the inner critic that lives rent-free in your head, and we're going to show you how to evict it. Isn't this so exciting? We're going to share real life examples, powerful science, and practical ways to shift out of self-judgment and into your power. So it's time to stop bullying yourself and start living again.
We all hate bullies, so why do we do it to ourselves?
Right? You're your own worst enemy.
We really are. So I actually had this experience this week. Whenever I saw myself on film, I was like, you know what? I need to go to the dentist. I need to lose weight. And I need to quit saying So the point is that I really was more critical of myself than actually diving into what I was watching. So
I did the same thing. I need to lose 25 pounds.
No, you don't. The TV puts it on you. So really, she's actually 25 pounds less. So
no, I really did. I felt like I watched the video because, of course, now you do a podcast and then you watch the video and it's like you are picking apart everything about yourself. My hair in one of them, there was a little curly Q on my head, and I'm thinking, Vicki, why didn't you tell me I had a piece of hair standing straight up?
And see, what's interesting is other people don't see those things,
right?
But we do. And so this is what we're trying to do, is help people understand what that little voice is in your head and how to get rid of that voice in your head, or how to steer it in a different direction.
Yeah, because we all struggle with the voice, right?
I'm pretty sure I've heard, I'm such an idiot.
I'm so stupid.
Oh my God, I suck as a parent.
I'm not good enough. I'm just not good enough.
You know, why can't I just get the, or why am I not further along than where I'm at right now?
Or comparing yourself to others.
Oh, this is the Facebook rabbit hole that we all go into.
Not FOMO, but it's the Facebook comparison syndrome or Instagram or whatever you look at and watch. You're comparing yourself to others, and especially in business. I know for entrepreneurs, right? Entrepreneurs are trying to get on this. I need to be doing social media for my business. So they'll watch, let's just say, a real estate agent who, hires a professional videographer, and they're doing a tour of this multi-million-dollar house. And so other real estate agents sit back and say, oh my gosh, I can't do that.
How can I get a house like that?
And how can I afford a videographer? And how do I do all of this stuff? And then they're sitting back comparing, and then they start getting stuck in their own head, and then they start spiraling. Can you guys relate to this? Seriously, if you can relate to this, drop us a note in the comments and let us know. What are some of the things that you think about, or what is that negative Nancy voice in your head saying to you?
Well, let's talk about that, because that is one of your advice to give life nuggets to our listeners, and that is, we need to name that voice.
Name the voice.
Name the voice. So I believe that this is actually one of the best advice you have ever given me, because it makes you stop, or it makes you be aware of, hey, I'm saying that to myself again, and then you can name it, and then you in a sense can kind of be like.
So I believe that we have two ways of looking at life. Okay. So we have our egoic lens, and the ego is part of that voice. Your voice lives within the ego, and it's pointing out all of your flaws and all of the things that you're doing wrong. It's also the fear, the doubt, the worry. It's the devil on one side. That's the ego.
Right.
Or you can look at life through your spiritual lens. And this is, universe, or your higher power, having faith and seeing the good and loving and showing compassion to yourself and love to yourself. Okay. So we have those two ways at looking at life. And so when you can notice, this is metacognition, the big tool that we teach is notice what you're noticing.
Right.
When you can notice that you're saying these things to yourself, you're being your own worst critic.
Right.
You want to pause and you want to name that voice, because then you get to separate your being from that behavior.
Right.
Okay. So I name mine Hilda.
Hilda.
So if Hilda starts talking shit in my ear, I say, fuck off, Hilda. Excuse my language, but we're fearless and we are unfiltered.
No, it's true, though. So mine's Frank. You know, it's like, shut up, Frank.
Why do you have a male name for your voice in your head?
Maybe it's how he sounds, you know, or I think it's just probably the past relationships I've had. And, you know, usually it's the men that are more critical than the women are. So, you know, shut up, Frank.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I view it.
I had a client one time and we named his Bob, so it was F off Bob. And so, you know what? Give your voice a name so that you can call it out when it's talking shit in your head.
Absolutely. And this will go so far in your ability to, one, be aware of it, but two, kind of shift your mindset to where you can then start talking positively or flipping the script, as you kind of say sometimes.
So if you're at work and maybe you work in a cubicle or you work in an office with other people and you say, F off Hilda or F off Frank, just let everybody know what you're talking about and tell them to tune into the Fearless and Unfiltered podcast.
Here's some very good advice. You may not want to name it someone that is in your inner circle, whether it's a friend or a coworker, just in case when you do blurt this out, you don't offend somebody.
I think that's why I chose Hilda, because I don't know any Hildas. And
I don't think I know any Franks either. So that way. You might have to rename it later in life, that's for sure.
So what are some other, being your own worst critic or thoughts that can hold us back, Vic?
As a parent, I think that's probably one of my biggest one is, oh my God, I am just failing as a parent, or my kid is just not listening to me, and what am I doing wrong? Or usually it goes to my looks. So it's, this is just not the body that I want to be in right now. And
how about like our bellies? Like, I hate this. As you get older as women, like, you get so much more flabby and
high menopause,
and your skin starts to wrinkle, and it's like, oh my God, I'm turning into my mother. Like, I could see
it's part of life and you have to walk through it. But again, it is a critic that no one, like you said, no one really sees that. Like the ones that love you and are in your intimate day-to-day role, they don't see that about you. They like whenever you and I talk, you're always like, oh my God, you look so beautiful today, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you need to put some glasses on, Carrie.
My fiance says that to me too now. Well, you guys listen, I now can't see, so this is a bunch of BS.
It's all
no
good.
But I do see the beauty. I see your energy. I believe you are beautiful from the inside out, and I think everything in life it's an inside out job. Okay, so we have to go on the inside and we have to love ourselves more. So I want to do a little exercise with you. I brought my mirror.
Okay,
this is my little mirror.
Okay.
And so how often do you or you viewers go into the mirror and actually look at yourself, your eyes in the mirror? Because I say the eyes are the entrance into your soul.
True.
Okay. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. Have you ever done that before?
No.
Okay. I haven't really either. Okay. It's not like I go in the mirror and I'm like, I love you, Carrie. I love you. I do not do that, you guys. But we're going to do this little episode, this little practice, because I want to see what it's like. So we're going to try this on. And I encourage you viewers to try this at home as well. Go into your bathroom mirror, look at yourself in the eyes and say, I love you. 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 Okay. Now you try it.
Okay. I love you. I love you. I love you. Oh my gosh, I love you. It's kind of hard to actually sustain yourself, and like then I understand, I think why you say it 5 times is so that you can actually believe it.
Yes.
Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know the power of your subconscious mind. Your mindset is everything. Mindset is everything, you guys. So the power of your subconscious mind, you can actually trick your subconscious mind into believing that you do love yourself. That's why we say affirmations. That's why we speak positive things, because you can shift your reality just by the words you speak and the thoughts you think. So,
well, what a simple thing to do, though, because if you think about it, like as women, you get up in the morning, you take your shower, you go put your makeup on in the mirror, you know what I'm saying? And you don't maybe take that time to say that one thing to yourself, and wow, what a lift up that would be for you for the day.
Right.
And maybe stamp down Frank. for a little bit.
Hilda, I don't want to hear from you today, Hilda.
I think one of the ones that really kind of get me though is let's go dive back into the comparison thing. Like that, I didn't realize that was actually a true thing, fear of missing out or whatever that is called. But it seems like when you do look at social platforms, or that is one of your relentless scrolling things, it can make you start to feel that way because like everybody's lives look so perfect and happy. And then, thinking of the things that you're currently going through, whether it's your kids are a disaster, whether your professional life's a disaster, or your personal life's a disaster, you're just sitting there going, well, why am I not like that yet? Well, how come I can't have something like that?
Yeah. I mean, you can get on social media and go into like a spiral of depression because you're like, oh, all these people are doing all these fun things and I'm sitting here scrolling, looking at everybody else. And sometimes you need to take a break. Take a break from social media and start devoting more time to yourself. Instead of scrolling for an hour, get your butt up and go to the gym and work out, because when you come back home, you'll feel so much better than you did if you kept scrolling for an hour.
Right.
Right? So it's the mindset of, I got to do something different. But what if you think I'm not good enough? Because how many of you can relate with this thought? I'm not good enough.
I think we've all probably said it at some point in time. In some situation. So whether it was a personal goal or ambition or even a professional one.
Yeah, maybe you want to get your dream job or, go start your own business or ask for that promotion, but you keep thinking in your mind that you're not good enough and you assume someone else is going to be more qualified, so you don't take action.
So I'm not going to do it. I won't even apply.
But you probably are good enough, because I believe that if the universe taps you on the shoulder and gives you a yearning for something greater or an idea, you are good enough. But you need that self-confidence. And sometimes it doesn't come easy. Sometimes you've been beat down. Maybe other people have told you throughout your life that you're not good enough. Sure. And so then you believe that. And I want you guys to know that there's science behind this. There's an actual thing with our brains called neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity, say it out loud.
Neuroplasticity means that your brains can actually be rewired. And the automatic thoughts you think, these limiting beliefs have been wired into your mindset for so many years that they just become automatic. They pop up. That's why we got to tell Hilda to get out of my brain. I'm evicting
F off,
you.
Hilda.
And Frank. I think we should call Vicky's Francesca, because I just don't understand why she has a guy name for her voice, but it's okay. I'm just kidding. But you can downplay your achievements or just don't show up for certain things because you think you're not good enough. But if you're breathing, you are good enough. Let's face it. 100%. You woke up today. You're blessed with another day. I get to see, at least centrally vision wise. I get to see. I get to hear. I get to feel. I get to walk through this life. So these are all blessings, and sometimes we need the awareness to come back to just the simple things in life of, I am alive and blessed, and so therefore I am good enough to do anything.
Absolutely. And I really think that part of that is the awareness of it. And that's why I think you have to be, if you are finding yourself and you're in a bummed out state, or you're depressed, or you just can't get your butt off the couch to go do something that you really want to go do, this is when you need to take a challenge to yourself and actually think about what you're saying to yourself inside. It might not be out loud you're saying it. It actually might just be replaying itself over and over in your brain. But if you do recognize it, and try to change how you're talking to yourself, that is critical. I remember during a heartbreak one time, I'm going to thank you, Rebecca Rupert, for giving me this advice, but you can really get into a depression when you get hard, when you're like, why did he break up with 100%. Me? What was wrong with me? What did I do wrong? However, this is where the statement of, I am so happy and grateful for the abundance of wealth in all aspects of my life. If I said that 10 times, I said it 10,000 times. And every single time I started feeling bad or negative or depressed, I said it over and over and over again. And it really does help you get out of the funk.
Shift your mindset. I had Sarah Caesar back in the day would sing me, oh God, I just went blank. I will survive as long as I know how to love. I know I'll stay alive. I will survive. I have the worst voice. I'm so sorry, you guys, but that was my song of I will survive. and it will get better. So whether you're struggling with that heartbreak, or here's one, I should be further along by now. In my life, I should be married by now. Hey, I'm 43. I'm still not married, even though I will be next year. You guys are planning it.
It's exciting.
Right?
Yes.
Or I wish that I would have had a baby by now. Or I wish that I would have purchased a house by now. Or I should have had that promotion by now.
All of these, I know that people in the audience can relate to, because we've all been there. And that is kind of why we brought this topic up to talk about today, to help give you skills and tools to get out of being your worst critic. Quit being your bully. Because even though you may not have made that doesn't mean it's not right around the corner. That means that there's a different planning or a different timing for you. And it goes back to a lot of other things, to where you have to plan for it and things like that. But you got to quit beating yourself up over that.
Right. And so instead of being in your head, get out of your head and into the present moment, and focus on, what have I accomplished so far? What is something that I can do today that's going to make me feel like I'm a little bit further along, or make me feel like I am good enough, or make me feel like I don't have to do this all on my own. For me, I had the Lone Ranger syndrome, being a single mom and just coming from where I was in my life. It was like, I don't want to have to rely on or need anything from anybody. I won't ask anybody for help. I'll do it on my own. And when you have that thought process, a lot of times you suffer in silence, and you're wearing this struggle like a badge of honor, but you're suffering behind the screen. Right. So, and I write a lot about that in my book, Behind the Screen, because, I said in one of the chapters that you could look at this picture on Facebook and see this beautiful family. And it's like, oh my gosh, look at them and their family and their kids are perfect. But lo and behold, did you know that the mom and dad just had the biggest fight of their lives right before this happened, and they were rushing the kids to get ready for this perfect picture. And so you're looking at this picture like, oh, this is a perfect family, and you have no idea how imperfect they actually are and what's going on behind the doors of that household.
Right, absolutely.
So that's why we want to be real, raw, and unfiltered, because life isn't always perfect. It's messy. There's messy moments. There's messy shit going on up in your head, and you got to get that stuff out in order to live a more fulfilling life.
Yeah, so F off Frank, F off Hilda. But I do want to, add another one here, is when you are talking negatively about yourself, like, I just can't do it, or I'm not pretty enough, or this just, life sucks right now. Would you talk to your friend that way? Is that something you would say to your friend?
No.
And so I think that you need to know that as well, is that maybe that might be a trigger. If I am saying those things, be like, would I really say that to Carrie? Absolutely not. I wouldn't.
Would I hang out with you if you told me I was ugly, or Carrie, you suck, you're not good enough, and you should do that all on your own. You shouldn't ask for help, Carrie. Carrie, no. you should be married by now. You should feel terrible about yourself because you've never been married.
If you would tell me that, probably wouldn't be hanging out that often, but I do understand that one. So it's kind of like these are tricks or tools that you can use to get out of your own head. And key thing is to be aware that you're actually doing that in your own head.
Right, because we're wired. It's actually the science behind this. It's called the negativity bias. So we're wired for survival, the fight, flight, freeze, flee, whatever that is.
Right.
And so we get stuck in these negative thought patterns that can roll our lives, but it's the awareness that gets you out of that.
So I think we talked about that before, right? We have like 60,000 thoughts a day, and like the majority of them are negative.
And the majority of them are from the past. And so if you know anything about the science behind your thoughts actually cause these neurotransmitters, the hormones and chemicals that get released into your bloodstream, which is cortisol. These are stress hormones. They make you feel like, anxious or depressed or
stressed.
Right. So how do you think you act when you feel that way?
Right. And just think of how you amplify on other people.
Because we are tuning forks in the universe.
100%.
And so your energy, the energy you vibrate, the energy you give off, you actually attract more of that to you. And so when you notice that you are being your own worst critic, but then you're trying to help other people become better in life, it's a little bit of a
yeah, a fight game there for sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense though, because like whenever, like, let's say your kids are frustrating you like beyond belief, and you might scream or yell a little bit, that usually affects me probably more than it does that kid. And then I feel like crap, especially let's say you do it in the morning and you're dropping the kids off to school.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, I feel like crap for even saying that. But that was actually probably something that I was stressed out about, or that I was negatively talking to myself about. And I used to do that with a relationship. Is I would play a situation over in my mind that didn't even happen.
Same.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then you would be angry at that person because of whatever you just thought through your head that happened.
Corroborated a story, and the story isn't even, you don't even know if the story's true.
Exactly.
But you can spend so much time and energy getting stuck in these thought loops and these patterns, these stories, and the stories aren't even true.
Thought loops. We got to get ready. We got to get better thought loops is what this is really truly all about.
Okay, so let's talk about how to get out of our head and into the present. So we talked about you name your critic. You name your inner critic, and you say F off or get the hell out of here, evict Nancy, Frank, Francesca.
Shut up, Hilda.
Whatever their name is.
Okay.
You can use pattern interrupts. So when you notice this thought pattern or the loop happening, you can wear a rubber band and you can snap the rubber band. I learned a technique called the Silva method, and it's actually a guy named, I forget his first name, Silva, but he developed this method after studying psychology and people for long periods of time.
Okay.
And what it is when you notice that negative thought, you say cancel, cancel. Immediately.
Cancel.
You're telling your subconscious, don't do this anymore. Stop that thought process from firing and wiring those neurons that connect into neural networks in your mind and become your program in your mind. So when you say cancel. So I always find myself saying automatically, you're so stupid, Carrie. Like I'll do something, I'll be like, you're so stupid, Carrie. And then I'll be like, nope, cancel. I am very intelligent. I'm amazing. I'm this and that.
Mel Robbins actually has the same thing that she does. And one of them is the count to 5. She counts, basically she gives you 5 seconds to be in misery. And then when you get to that 1, you're on a totally different wavelength. So literally, if you find yourself doing that, you're supposed to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're done. And it really, I don't know if it's the clap, I don't know if it's the counting backwards and you're getting to the 0 that like triggers that in your brain, but it really truly works.
I mean, you have to train your brain.
Mm-hmm.
You train your brain to work for you versus working against you. And it works wonders when you do it. And then you can practice present moment awareness. So deep breathing, you can use breath work where you count 4 breaths in. So you take a deep breath, count to 4, hold it for 4 seconds, and then breathe out for another 4 seconds. And if you do that 3 times, that calibrates your central nervous system to get you into that parasympathetic nervous response, which is calm and relaxed and out of the stress response.
Okay. Which is what you're creating in your mind whenever you're talking as a bad critic to yourself.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Makes sense.
And the more you replay that story on your mind, the more you're going to believe it. So stop it. Okay. And then speak to yourself like a friend. So Vicki, do that little voice recording thing that you had. You were going to voice record.
Oh yeah.
Speaking to yourself like a friend.
It is. It's like, so this is what I would say to Carrie as an encouragement instead of what I would just say to myself. So it's like, Carrie, thank you so much for being my best friend. You're so nice. You understand me. And I really appreciate the time that you take just to listen to me and offer me some really great advice. So thank you for being my friend.
Or you can say, Vicki, you are so beautiful, smart, energetic. Like you are like the sunshine that pours over the whole planet. Everything you touch, people smile, you make them feel good. You bring so much goodness out of people, right?
Could you imagine if you get to hear that?
Right. So that's what you're supposed to do is record that message to yourself and then play it back to you. So take my words, record it, and then play it back to you and listen to that. So you remind yourself that, yes, I do sprinkle sunshine all over the world.
Exactly. And remember what people say to you. You know, there are people that offer comments to you and compliments to you, and you should take that, register it, and put that in there, because that is what the outside world is seeing you at. And that is, I think, part of the struggle, that people don't see that.
And receive it. You actually have to receive those words and the compassion and the love. You have to receive it. So go into the mirror and say, I love you, Carrie. I love you, Vicki. I love you, world.
Get that mirror out, ladies and gentlemen. And then the last one I want to add is just, it doesn't have to be a huge win. It doesn't have to be these big moments in your life that you have to celebrate. I think you got to celebrate the tiny wins.
For sure.
Especially if you're in a zone of depression, or I don't want to get out, or isolation, or I think it's all me. You know, go take that shower and have a great conversation with yourself. It is one of my spots where I actually do my praying, believe it or not. And it's like, you know, I am happy and grateful for the abundance of wealth in all aspects of my life, or put me in the right place at the right time for the right message for the right reason. These are things to, like, that is your opportunity to kind of fire yourself up. Be your own coach in a sense. So celebrate the tiny wins, even if it's getting in the shower and getting the kids off to school, even if it is getting to work and actually finishing the project that you were supposed to do, or finding a great flower and planting in your yard. Those are little wins in life.
Yeah. And give yourself grace. This was something that was big for me last year. In fact, I wrote it on my mirror. So my bathroom mirror, I use dry erase marker, and I'll write myself notes, or I'll write my goals up there. I'll check it off, and it's just it's my fun board.
Grace was the word of the year, I think.
Grace was the word.
We definitely need to give ourselves more grace.
Yeah, I'm very hard on myself. Like, I have all of these goals and ambitions, and I check them off, and we do this and that, and it's like, if there's a slow week or 2 weeks where I'm not seeing results, I go down, I spiral into that, oh good, you know, what if, and all of
I'm
these
not good
things,
enough, all the things we talked about.
Am I really good enough, and blah blah blah. But the good news is I've done so much work, and I've studied personal development so much that I can apply it to myself to get myself out of those negative you know, places where I would have dwelled for days, where now it might just be like 15 minutes. And then I'm like, okay, Carrie, what do we know here? I am a spiritual being, an energetic being having a human experience. I am greater than any condition or circumstance or any negative thought that comes into my head, and I can do anything.
And that's kind of where this podcast kind of spurred from, is because of some of that work that you have done, but also the hard times that we've been through, and wanting to get that information and those tools out to you all to help have a happier life, to help have a better life experience. Because again, this is your one life that you get from God, so you need to make sure you use it to the best of your abilities.
I mean, I remember being a single mom and just running myself ragged. My son would, you know, I'd get calls from school all the time, or his daycare, and he wouldn't have a good day because of whatever. So I'd come home after working all day and going through all the crap at work, and then coming home and then getting him to bed, and I would literally go into my closet and cry. I remember so many times I just went in my closet and just bawled my eyes out, and I'm like, please God, like, help me. I can't do this by myself. Like, it's hard.
Right.
And we share this for you because I know that there's single moms out there, or moms who aren't single that are struggling. They're like, God, I suck at parenting, or this is so hard.
Balancing
it. And we want you to know. So we did this little practice. So Vicki said one of her negative thoughts was, I feel like a shitty parent. Right. And I feel like that sometimes too. Like, I feel like I don't give my son enough attention, even though I know I do, but is it really enough? Right. So we second guess and we doubt ourselves. So instead of saying I'm a shitty parent, you could say, cancel. I'm a trustworthy parent. I'm a loving and compassionate parent.
My kid loves to come talk to me about what is going on. He's safe enough to come to me and talk to me about his future, or about something that's ailing him or on his brain. And so that is actually a positive thing about being a parent.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good stuff.
So you have to reframe it. You have to notice those thoughts. You have to say, cancel, not today, Frank. And you have to replace it with positive affirmations or positive facts.
Yep.
Like I said, Vicki, think of something that you did good or something that you and your son did great together,
right,
that you can celebrate. And so a lot of times we focus on the negative and we forget to focus on the positive things.
Right.
So sometimes you have to go back in your memory bank and think, well, what positive thing did happen this week? All right, shift that focus from the negative thing to the positive thing and see what happens.
You know, I got a challenge for all you guys out there this week because we want to interact and see what's going on in your world. So our challenge to you is to write down 3 critical thoughts that come into your brain this week. And then we want you to cancel, or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or shut up, Hilda, and reframe each one of those. So if it is, man, I was just a really crappy wife this week. Well, wait a minute. Cancel. You know, wow, I was able to get dinner on the table. We had some really great conversations. I'm so glad we had time to sit down and watch a movie together. I'm glad we had the extra opportunity to go take a drive this weekend. Mm-hmm. See how that's a flip, right?
Yeah.
So 3 critical thoughts, peeps. Get that, you know, whether you put it on the notes on your phone or you actually write it with a piece of paper, write it down so that you're acknowledging and you're aware of what your brain or your bully in your head is telling you.
And then you're going to let that go.
Yep.
And you're going to write down and reframe those negative thoughts. So leave them in the comments for us. Let us know 1, 2, or 3 negative thoughts, but then also reframe them into positive affirmations so that we can spread the joy and the goodness throughout the world, because it's a ripple effect.
It truly is.
And make sure you share this podcast with a friend and ask them to subscribe, smash that subscribe button, because we want to reach, teach, and transform lives through our funny stories.
Absolutely. This has been Fearless and Unfiltered with Carrie and Vicki. We hope to see you again next time.
Thanks for hanging out with us on Fearless and Unfiltered. If you laughed, learned, or loved it, smash that subscribe button. Share this episode with a friend and be sure to join us for the next real, raw, and fearless conversation.
Remember, life's too short to play small, so stay fearless, stay unfiltered, and keep showing up with your badass self.